Hi, I'm Niels Johnson, a technical evangelist with Symantec, and this is another of the series of videos that I wanted to do to basically define risk and the mitigation of risk for small to medium business. One of the baseline things I wanted to set out before really we got too far down the road was just talking about a working definition of risk. I mean, when I say risk and when you say risk, that might be two decidedly different things, and as we progress, I'm going to need something to build on, and so this video is all about what I see or how I would go about defining that risk that small to medium business is up against. To do that, I want to basically break risk down into 5 pillars. I mean, if I can control these 5 things, or if I can define risk in these 5 terms and mitigate risk in these 5 respective areas, problem solved. I know that's easier said than done. And so I want to sort of give you a sense of my feeling for these 5 areas, and frankly, I don't know that any one, well, there is one that's more important than the other 5, but all of them have to be addressed, and I'm going to work on these backwards. First is the technology trends. Obviously, you know, security is an art form. It's not an exact science. Things are constantly changing with respect to trends. And, you know, example, is virtualization really a trend anymore? No. You know, virtualization is pretty ubiquitous. Is cloud computing a trend anymore? Well, it might be a trend, but I'm really not sure, depending on how you define trend. Is mobility? Everybody's carrying a smart device. So trends come and go. But the point is the trends of today. Big data, data lakes, the Internet of Things, which is just upon us. We're constantly needing to evolve the internal workings, if you will, of risk definition and mitigation to meet the technology trends. And frankly, as we get farther down the road in this series, I'll be focusing more and more on the trends, because those are the things, obviously, that are going to change most often. Secondly is people. So let me stop right here and say, you know, I like people. Some of my best friends, my dog notwithstanding, some of my best friends are people. I'm married to people. She's terrific. But from a security perspective, or from a risk definition mitigation perspective, people bring with them 3 strikes. They are inefficient, they are ineffective, and they are error prone. Oh my gosh. And so bottom line is, anything we can do to either educate people, which is difficult and an ongoing process and costly, or eliminating people from the equation entirely, and now we're talking about automation and those kinds of things, we are well served. And so I'll talk about people as a function and what we can do about that. Thirdly is response. Again, security is an art form. Bad things happen to good people, and when the bad things happen, you have to be absolutely drop-dead sure that your response mechanisms, in a very timely manner, can put Humpty Dumpty back together again. The whole point here is risk, as we define it, which is very, very broad, is going to influence a variety of response mechanisms. E-discovery, disaster recovery, business continuity, compliance, the security technologies. You know, so knowing with a degree of certainty that those response mechanisms can indeed right the ship is going to be critically important. Again, we'll talk about that in the future. Fourthly is infrastructure. And the point with infrastructure is it's something you absolutely drop dead have to do, but if your foci, if your priority, if you go about thinking in terms of securing an environment via the infrastructure, I would suggest your mindset, your thinking is old school, old guard, aka passe. Today it is so not about the infrastructure, it's about the 5th one, the information at rest and moving through that infrastructure. The next in the series, I'm going to talk about what an information-centric business looks like. But the whole point is, I have to do infrastructure, but that is not where my priority and my focus needs to be. And as I've already said, the last one is information, and it's about information in those 2 places. At rest and moving through, and we have to moving through the infrastructure, and we have to consider information as being, if you will, the first and foremost priority. Let me give you a very quick illustration. Gartner Group says that 71% of a company's intellectual property is now found in email archives. 71% of the really business important stuff is no more attached to the infrastructure than that smart device you have sitting in your pocket. But I have to focus on the information. So that being said, let me go to the next level and we'll kind of get a little more granular here. So what I'm hearing from my customers, and again, a lot of this I'm pulling out of 21 years of experience, primarily working for Symantec, but some other things as well. This is how I see the current risk landscape. One, it's about information growth, and perhaps as importantly, multiple or changing sources of that information, just getting our hands around the sheer volume of information that's now coming into the environment. Secondly, the sophistication of the attacks themselves, and in future videos we'll spend a lot of time talking about advanced persistent threats, what the bad guys are doing, and the kinds of things we have to put in place. But the whole point is the bad guys, aka the Russian mafia, whoever it happens to be, are investing serious dollars in bringing in people who can write code that are very well capable as far as their coding expertise is concerned. Thirdly, it's the consumerization of IT, or maybe better said, the IT-ification of the consumer. You know, they want to do for themselves. It's about bring your own device. It's about all that stuff. And frankly, there's no reason why that can't happen in any environment. The catch is that that consumer could care less about the security implications, about the compliance implications, about the disaster recovery business continuity implications, about any implications. Just be sure you keep separated the business stuff from the professional stuff, and you can do whatever you need to do as far as the business stuff is concerned, and keep your grimy paws off my personal stuff. You know, except for all that, they're happy campers. Fourthly is compliance. Compliance, it seems like there's a little more teeth in the compliance laws these days, and bearing down if you're in a medical vertical or a financial vertical, you know all about that. So we can address those as well. And then, frankly, I'm going to do a whole video on what I call infrastructure strain that focuses primarily on the requirements of IT to do more and more and more every year with less. That video is called Infrastructure Strain, if you want to follow up on that one. So that's what it is, and all these videos I'm going to try to break them out, at least most of them, into, this is what's going on, this is what it means, this is what you have to do about it, and these 3 slides are the best illustration I have for that. But what's that causing us to do? Well, virtualizing the infrastructure. It's not so much storage anymore. You can buy physical storage, I suppose, but it's more about processing horsepower and the division of the different things that need to occur. And so virtualization, as I said before, is not a trend anymore. It seems like everybody is pretty much there. It's pretty ubiquitous. Movement towards the cloud. I'm going to do a piece down the road here a little ways where cloud computing, you might think, it's just something you're never going to go to, but I would suggest, and I'll hopefully demonstrate that to you, that cloud computing is a foregone conclusion. You're going to be in the cloud. The real question there is, where, what, how, what do I push up there first? Under what criteria, what are my requirements? We'll talk all about moving to the cloud in a separate video. The use of social media, whether I'm talking about communication with the inside world or the outside world, social media is upon us, and frankly, yes, we're talking socialization here, and we can talk about the bad guys' use of social media. I mean, I'm all over it. I think it's great. I'm on YouTube, for crying out loud. But social media brings with it its own issues from a variety of perspectives, and we'll talk about those as well. And the embracing of mobile devices. Again, it's all about bring your own device, regardless of operating system, regardless of form factor, regardless of where I'm going to use it. We'll talk a little bit in a future video about the difference between sitting with an iPad and in a Starbucks in Dallas, Texas, or sitting on an iPad in Starbucks in Shanghai, China. I mean, it's about mobile devices, but it's also about context where that mobile device is being used. Create risk management programs. I think here probably is the best place to bring up a concept. I think one of the most critical things you can do with your security provider is have what I call the intelligent clarifying conversation about risk tolerance. It's all about understanding where we need to most strategically invest security dollars, because nobody has an infinite budget. And then lastly, it's about getting as much bang for your buck as possible out of big data. Understanding the business value of big data. But again, some of those experiences, some of those exercises, some of those technologies, frankly, can expose you to different areas of risk. So we'll be talking about that as we move down this path as well. And so, again, what is it? What does it mean? What do I got to do about it? Well, here's the hard part. I mean, here's where we start needing to do some work as opposed to just talking. It's about understanding the issues that virtualization brings. There are storage issues. There are processing issues. There are, compliance issues that can come out of this. And again, we'll be getting more granular as we move down the road. Information distributed across physical, virtual, cloud. Let me just add mobile there. Truthfully, my own thought is I don't see much difference between those four different form factors. Again, physical, virtual, cloud, mobile devices. Security is security is security. Backup and discovery and archiving and all that stuff. Does it really make much difference which platform it's sitting on? The whole point is I can take a sort of a big picture approach to risk definition and mitigation, and that big picture approach, at least philosophically, could fit in all those spaces. But I have to acknowledge the fact that I have to have some expertise, some technical capabilities in all four of those spaces. Then move up the next bullet, security of the virtual space, the cloud space, the mobile environments, and it missed the physical environment. That's the infrastructure piece. But the point is, security has to be addressed. Security in this day cannot be an afterthought. One of the things I'm going to do when we get down the road here is do a bit on the Internet of Things and how some of the devices being rolled out, it's about shelf life, it's about time to market, and security isn't even not part of the equation, let alone, quality thereof. So we'll come back to it. The mobile device being out of control of IT, again, it's part of BYOD, and it's not that so much. It's the data that the mobile devices are generating that, is just, most of it is unstructured. And then the question is, what's important, what's not important? Those kinds of questions need to be answered. And again, how do I containerize, that's a word I just invented on the fly, or put a dividing line between the professional stuff sitting on the mobile device and the personal stuff sitting on the mobile device. I mean, as a consumer, you can do whatever you need to do on the professional stuff, but keep your grimy paws off my personal stuff. And then when we ultimately do move to the cloud, and again, I'll say, and you are going to the cloud, I'll demonstrate that to you as we move down the road. What are the critical questions? What kinds of things what are the requirements of a cloud service provider? What should our own internal expectations to be? What are the steps that I need to take as far as my movement to the cloud? What goes there first? And then what kind of control do I have over my stuff? How dependent am I going to be on that service provider? So we'll come back and address some of those as well. So I apologize for this being a bit wordy. The takeaway from here is the foci needs to be on the information. I've got 2 additional videos I'm going to be posting here rather quickly. One is on what an information-centric enterprise looks like. Actually, it's going to turn out to be in 2 parts. Only because of the recording time and what YouTube will and won't allow me to do. But I would suggest you take a look at those 2 only to get a sense of sort of what the baseline requirements are. I'm going to, frankly, be giving you a sense of where you need to be today and forget about the future. I'm going to be making some future looking statements as we progress down the road. But the pair of videos on the information-centric enterprise is really where what the security posture needs to be looking at today. So the last word, again, simply thanks for participating. Hopefully this has been some help for you. And again, what I wanted to do, these first few videos, in all honesty, I'm just sort of trying to set some baselines, set up some nomenclature. So we've got a common, area of expertise, not expertise, but of knowledge, that when I'm talking about stuff in the future, you'll know exactly where all that's coming from. So again, I appreciate your time and your attention, and hopefully this has been of value to you. Thank you very much.